How are we doing today? I'm Mr. Schmidt. I'm a building trades electrical instructor here at Mercy Career Technical High School. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to wire a three-way switch from the power source to the light itself. Now, I always put my students to the project, how do you tell the difference between a three-way and a single pole switch? They actually go running over to the box and they say, oh, we got to take the whole box apart. We don't have to take the whole box apart, because if we look at single pole switch, and I don't know if you can see that, first of all, it has on and off written right on the switch. And if you do have it in your hand, there's only two terminals on it. Whereas with a three-way switch or four-way switch, we have no on or off indicators on the switch, and we have three poles. We have two shiny poles, and then we have a dark screw. The dark screw is known as the common. This would be the current carrying wire that either takes the power to the light or brings the wire from the power source. So let's get started. We're using metal boxes today. That way I want to emphasize a little bit about grounding on how this is going to work. So the first thing we do, we round our wires. Okay, we need three wires for our travelers, as we call them. Okay, and then we need two wires going into the light, and we need two wires coming from the power source. So now that I have the wires in the box, the first thing I need to do is ground the box. Okay, so we're going to use a ground screw like this, and there's actually a hole in the box, okay, that can be used to insert the hole. Most of the newer boxes have that piece put into it. I'm having no trouble getting it started. Okay, the screw is started. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ground wire from the power source, and I'm going to wrap it once around the green screw. And I'm going to take a Phillips head screwdriver, and I'm going to tighten it down. Now I have two grounds. I want to make sure that I bond the ground from here to here, bonding the box, and then I need to put a grounding bond all the way through the circuit. So I'm going to take these two wires now, and I'm going to take what's called a greenie wire nut. What's unique about the greenie is it has the hole at the top, whereas a regular wire nut is solidified. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide the green through the ground wire till I pick up the second ground wire, and I'm going to tighten it. Once it's tight, I'm going to tuck it into the box, and I'm going to leave the one piece sticking out like that, okay? No problem. And then we're going to go over to the second box, and we're actually going to do the same thing. Okay, I already had the green put in here, the green screw. So it's just a matter of taking this and wrapping it around. Take my Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, and we're going to tighten that down. Do the same thing. I have a second greenie already out and ready to go. And I back this down. You don't want to put the two wires up like this, because then you're going to have trouble getting the wire wrapped around your device. You always want to put it down so the green wire nut's going to kind of stick inside the box. And we'll tighten that down like that. Okay, and once again, I'm going to tuck this. Now, the easiest way of doing this now is we take our three wires. Okay, we all know that reds and blacks are called current carrying conductors, and in most cases the white wire is called the grounded conductor, not the grounding. This is the grounding conductor here, and this is called the grounded conductor. So we're going to need a path of grounded conductor over to the light. So now I'm going to take a yellow wire nut, and I'm going to take the two grounded conductors, and I'm going to wire nut them together. When you wire nut them together, you want to make sure you see no copper sticking out of the wire nut. All right? And then we can take that, and we can tuck that in the box, because now we're done with it. And we do the same thing over here. Okay, this one didn't get cut right, so I'm going to grab my diagonals, and I'm going to take a little bit off the copper. I'm going to find my yellow wire nut, and we're going to put these together. And we're going to tuck these in the box. Now we're ready to wire up our switches. But before we do, if you notice, we used 1900 boxes and we didn't use the voice boxes. So we're going to use mud rings today, or plaster rings as sometimes they're called. And we're going to put the plaster ring over the box. Once again, we're going to use the Phillips head screwdriver. Loosen that up a little bit. Okay, now we're going to tighten the mud ring in place. And I will go over and we'll do the same with this box here. Back these screws off a little bit. And the mud ring fits right in. And one more time we tighten it down. And we're ready to go. So what we're going to do, we're going to take one of our three-ways. Remember, the dark screw is the common. And this side is the power source coming in. So if I separate these, I know that the two wires on this side are my travelers, and this one is my common. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my, my strippers, and I'm going to loop the wires. I don't like putting the wires into the little tabbies in the back. I'm kind of like an old-fashioned guy where I like to make sure that the wires are in place and they're not going to come out. So we do that like that, and then I take my three-way and my common. Now, the other thing, I always have a problem with my students. They don't understand righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so you always want to put the wire so it is going with the turn of the screw. It's important to do that because you don't want the screw, you don't want the wire backing out as you progress with the project. Or even once you go to put it into the box, we don't want that happening. And it just happened to me. So we're just going to back this out a little bit. Actually, this wasn't stripped enough, so I'm actually going to cut it. I'm going to strip it again. A little longer this time. Make one loop. And we'll try again. Okay, and then I have my two commons. Does it matter which common goes on either pole of the commons? It really does not matter. Okay, so we're going to put the red on this side, and I'm going to back it down. And then we'll take the black that was the traveler, and we'll put that on the other side here. And one more time, we're going to back that down. Okay, one switch out of the way. Okay, we're going to come over here. We're going to do the same thing with our wires. We're going to put a loop on them. Put a loop on them, and we're going to take our second three-way switch. Does it matter if I do the commons or the travelers first? It really doesn't. I kind of follow suit here. I had the black on the side with the common, so I'm going to leave the black on the side with the common. So this one here will be the red. Okay, we'll put that in place first. Phillips head screwdriver. I always encourage my students to have all their tools readily available when they're doing any project. You notice we laid out what we needed. We had a flat. We also had a Robertson with us today. The Robertson would be used to tie down the Romex connectors. Okay, and then we're going to take the other side of this. Again, remember that this is the traveler. So we're going to put that on the bottom with a shiny screw, if you would. And we're going to put this down like this. Last thing to do, this black wire is going to the light. So we will tuck that under the common as we explained earlier. And tighten it down. Now the only thing left to do with the switches is to ground them, because we didn't do that yet. Remember, we put the greeny wire nuts in there, and we have these here. The green wire comes supplied onto the switch. So again, I'm going to take and I'm going to make a loop. And all we do is we come over here. All right, we'll take the Phillips head. Tighten this down. Remember, everything's going righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. We don't want anything going the wrong way where it's going to back out on us. And I'll turn this switch around so we have the same directional working with us. And take care of that. So, we forgot the light bulb in the light. Someone's going to go get me the light bulb in the light socket. And while that's happening, I'm going to take these two wires here. I'm going to cut these down a little bit. Okay, they got to get stripped. Okay, and we're going to strip that. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is we need to put our light socket into our light box. All right. Notice this is just what they call, like in the old days we called it a Russell, or is a fixture without any kind of devices on it. No receptacles, no chains. So that means it's going to work off one of our three-way switches. Because it's plastic and has no chains, it also doesn't have a ground wire. So remember over here we took the ground and we grounded to the box. We have to ground it to the box because it's a metal box. So all we're going to do at this point, we're going to tuck the copper into the box and leave it sit there. Now I'm ready for my device. Again, light screw, dark screw. Okay, the light screw, if you really want to get into it, if you took a meter and you measured this screw, you're going to read the ring of the light versus the little tab in the bottom. All right, we're not going to go all through that right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to hook this thing. So one more time, I'm taking my stripper, making my loops. Okay, I'm making my loops. Once I make my loops, all right, again, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So we're going to put the wire on, go in the right direction, get a little pinch, take my Phillips head screwdrivers, all right, and we're going to tighten this down. All right, same thing with the black wire. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, we put it in, okay, we make sure it's tight on the terminal, and we tighten down. All right, and for this little video we're doing, I am going to put it in the box. Okay, and it goes in like this. Put back these screws up a little bit. Okay, and we'll tighten it down. Now, switches will go in, just tuck them and put them in. We're not going to screw them in for this demonstration, but we're going to put them in. Always make sure, if you got power on, that you don't want the sides of the screws touching the metal boxes, as you would. So I'm just going to leave them sit like that. Okay, so you can see how this works. Now, anytime that I teach a class and I have students doing things like this, I always fuse the circuit. That way, I don't want any accidents. I use 3-amp fuses. I use a fuse holder, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the fuse into the fuse holder right now in the socket. Last thing I need to do is to plug in the circuit, which we're going to do right here. Okay, got it all plugged in. All right, and then these sockets, these fuse holders I buy actually have a switch on them as well. So when I turn this on, I want to put the light in the socket. Okay, make it tight. I turn it on. All right, the light came on. That means that one of my switches is in the on position. Now, how do I test the three-way circuit? I sit here and I play with both switches. Okay, I turn that one off. I can turn that one on. That means I can go back to here and that will turn off. And if I come back here, it turns on. Remember, right now they're both up, but remember what I was saying earlier, single pole switch has on and off on it, three-way does not. So I can control these from either way. I know it's a little rough if you're doing a hallway and you got to run up and down the steps, but you get good exercise that way. And that is our demonstration on three-way switches. Thanks for joining us today.